Welcome back to another episode of L2P with Redonkulous Gaming. We are, of course, talking Pokken Tournament DX for the Nintendo Switch, and the head character, the one headlining today, is the fighter Garchomp. So this guy is a powerhouse, and literally I mean that. The type within this game is the power type, and for those of you who have not tuned in on our episodes, as a quick reminder, power is the type within this fighting game. The actual elemental type has nothing to do with the strengths or weaknesses of any fighter versus another fighter. It really comes down to standard speed, power, etc. Within this game. So keep that in mind. Now, when you look at Garchomp and just kind of an initial overview, he has a health pool of 660 hit points. That's one of the top in the game, and he's not necessarily easy to use, but we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about how to use him. So he is an adjustment if you're used to a faster moving, slower bodied fighter. You're going to want to use him to rush the opponent and overwhelm them with burrowing if you're far away by just tapping up and A. What that's going to do is it's going to send your character up in the air without actually jumping and straight down. If you miss your opponent on the way down, you're going to burrow right underneath their feet and then pop right up underneath them, which is pretty darn cool. You can go ahead and charge and release X to execute back-to-back rushes. So if you hold X and then you go ahead and rush forward, you're going to knock your opponent up in the air, and then you're going to release X. And if you release it at the right time, you will unleash another forward rush upward diagonally and hit them in midair. So it's kind of like a little mini combo, but just by hitting one button. Now, how you master Garchomp is by timing up and A to send opponents into a vortex that's going to open them up to other attacks. So just kind of keep that in mind. Get used to timing up and A. Good things are going to happen. Now, dual phase versus field phase. And this guy is pretty darn quick within the field to close on an enemy, but you need to be aware of the distance between you and your enemy so that you don't leave yourself open for attack. So you don't want to be right on top of somebody. You want to have a little bit of distance because you are a larger character. You have what feels like a little bit of reach, but you can attack from the ground or in the air pretty darn well, and it makes Garchomp a pretty well-rounded fighter within Pokken Tournament DX. You're going to want to use up and Y to make enemies vulnerable and pop them up in the air so that you can go ahead and chain other attacks, but you're going to want to also be wary of faster Pokemon in the field phase. You need to be prepared to defend timed attacks. In other words, when people work to set you up, you need to constantly have your finger ready to go ahead and tap R so you can get your shield up in time. Utilize your grab attack. Again, don't use it as a crutch. That goes with pretty much every single fighter that we've reviewed. Try not to learn bad habits when you're fighting against the computer. The grab attacks can be countered easily, but keep in mind that it is a big part of Garchomp's playstyle because it does set you up for so many other things. So timing is really everything, and defending also helps. Now, combos. We'll go ahead and do a quick little combo rundown. This is not necessarily a super combo heavy character. However, the combos that he does land can be lethal. So the easiest one to execute is going to be by tapping your X button and then your forward plus your Y button and then Y. That is going to pop your enemy in the air, and it's going to finish them off with a lethal combo of punches. Again, you're a powerful fighter to begin with. Any combo that you land is just going to be aces. If the enemy's already up in the air, go ahead and tap up and Y, and then forward Y, Y, right away. Good things are going to happen. And the most efficient and one of the more easier ones to execute that is a little bit of a longer chain is when you are in the midair, as I mentioned, Garchomp is great in the air or on the ground. Go ahead and tap X, and then go Y, Y, Y immediately, and then forward A. And you can charge that forward A, or you can just tap it. This is going to pop your enemy up, deliver 3 blows, and then burrow underground and uppercut them from beneath. It's pretty darn cool, and it's great graphic to watch. When it's executed flawlessly, it makes you feel really, really good. Now, down A is going to grab the enemy and put it in the vortex. You're going to follow that up with a back Y, and then Y, Y, Y. This one is absolutely lethal, and because you're pretty much using Y for pretty much the whole thing, it's easier to execute and something that you want to take advantage of, and that's going to put your enemy on the ropes. It's going to probably move them to the edge of the boundary, and it's going to set you up to really close in and go for the kill. So down A, again, is how you grab and you put them in a vortex. When you then land, you're going to hit back Y together, and then Y, Y, Y. Pretty darn simple to execute, and it does a whole ton of damage. Now, Mega Evolution or Synergy Burst is something that we talk about with every single one of our fighters, and the overall strength of the Mega Evolution is pretty darn good. What the Synergy Burst does is gives you a little bit more agility as a fighter, and your moves really get that much better. They're more potent, but you're already kind of slower to begin with, so keep that in mind. You're not going to notice a huge or a tremendous speed uptick, but this is just a really neat fighter in this game. He's really cool to watch. You emit a nice little orangey glow of awesomeness when you unleash your Synergy Burst / Mega Evolution. So he's just a fun one. Just if you're sitting around and you're just watching someone play the game, you can enjoy this one, especially if the person's pretty decent playing him. Now, the overall finisher, when you perform L and R after you've performed your initial Synergy Burst, is strong. But you're going to want to tee it up with a few attacks just to make sure the opponent is not shielding, and you want to try to break that shield so that you've got a clean shot at executing your ultimate attack. So you're going to want to keep enemies within mid-range to execute your LR Synergy Burst ultimate move attack. You don't necessarily need to be super close, but they should be mid-range, and you just really don't want to miss. That's the biggest thing. If you miss, then you just kind of look weird because you can't necessarily stop Garchomp once he's going forward and slashing with those claws, and it opens you up to attack from behind. So keep that in mind. Now, cheer type that we recommend always, if you are uncomfortable or you're just trying to learn this character for the first time, go ahead and use your standard cheer until you feel comfortable. Once you are, we recommend a synergy focused cheer to maximize the number of ultimate attacks that you can get out. If you feel really, really good about it, you can try some other cheers as well, potentially the special, but the synergy focus seems to really maximize the number of ultimate attacks that you can perform if you're doing well, whether that's win or lose. Now, in terms of support Pokemon that we recommend, Emolga and Fennekin are great support. So Emolga's got a fast charge and Fennekin's got an average charge. Now, Emolga performs a long-range attack, and it allows you to close in after the hit. So if someone is trying to play the range game with you, you can go ahead and summon Emolga to come on out, perform the attack so that you can move in a little bit easier. Fennekin, on the other hand, you're going to want to go ahead and bring out when an opponent is really just kind of right on top of you, and you need a little bit of space to move around. So Fennekin's going to come out and perform a dome-shaped attack that can really hit more than once and send your opponent reeling. Again, the types of support that you use are ultimately up to you, but we recommend the combination of these two just to kind of get you started, and eventually your support Pokemon is really going to depend on your own playstyle. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at redonkgaming.com and tune in for our next episode.